Welcome to Dark Tales. On this channel, you can listen to scary and true ghost stories. If you enjoy such videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Now, let's dive into today's story. I was sitting alone by the window. It was the rainy season. Small droplets were hitting the glass near the window, creating an echo inside the house as I sat there. Even though it was a bit cold, I always found raindrops pleasant. I don't know why, but watching the raindrops made time slip away. But with the laptop open, I still had some work to finish. I was sitting there, unable to muster the motivation to get started. Suddenly, words slipped out. "Shreya, look, it's raining." In that moment, I was struck silent, staring at the house that felt so empty. Just 4 months ago, Shreya, my wife, passed away. Even now, I still feel as if she is alive. I sometimes forget she's gone. Perhaps it's a result of the shock. I never imagined I could live my life without her. We had only envisioned one thing: growing old together. What will we do? Even at the moment of death, we would be looking into each other's eyes, and death would come to us together. We would close our eyes together. But Shreya had already left me. She lives on in my memories. Even now, I don't want to let her go, even though she is just a memory. But can we not bring back someone who has passed away? Can someone who has gone far away truly not return? I am still making every effort to do so. I am a software developer, so I can only try with what I know. I cannot bring someone back to life, but I can certainly keep his memories alive. I should share a bit about myself since you may not know me. It seems you are already showing some interest in my story. You might be smiling thoughtfully. Something unfortunate has happened to someone, but in the end, who am I? Hello friends, my name is Enyun. I live in a city in the United States. I work as an AI developer in Silicon Valley, and my job was so fulfilling that I was extremely happy with my life. As for Shreya, she preferred to do household chores. Initially, she liked working outside. But since I was earning well, Shreya mentioned that, "I'll take care of the house, and besides, how many dollars do you even make? Who's going to spend? You're such a miser." I used to smile and say that. "Just look at her, you'll get tired of all the spending," and she'd say, "No, I won't get tired." This is how beautifully our life was going. I don't know who cursed me. Life has changed so much, but all I have is what I can control. I will do it. I am determined to do it. It's been a shock for the last 4 months. I'm trying, or at least I'm making an effort. I'm working on the code on this laptop to create an AI-generated human. AI, which stands for Artificial Intelligence, means designing software that can think just like a person, and I'm quite skilled at this. I've created several AI software before. However, this time, while staying at home, I want to develop an AI program that's exactly like Shreya. I have recordings of our conversations, photographs of Shreya, memories, everything I need to train it. For the last 4 months, this has been my only focus. I'm eagerly waiting for tomorrow, which is why I can't seem to forget Shreya. I believe that once I create this AI software, I can keep her with me forever. Now, no one can take her away from me. She will become part of a program, but not exactly like her. I will never marry anyone else. I'll just keep talking to her. At least I'll get the chance to have a conversation. Gradually, the rain started to pick up. After finalizing the last part, I quickly began processing it and had just opened my laptop. I went to bed as the raindrops slowly filled my heart with a bit of joy. Shreya will be back tomorrow. I'll be able to talk to her. Even though she has permanently gone far away from me, at least I can hear her voice, just like hers, as if she were the one speaking. While waiting for morning, I couldn't sleep a wink all night, and in the morning I launched that program. I have a desktop set up at home. You could call it a supercomputer. I've given a whole room in my house to the largest computer. There's a big program featuring my wife that's going to take place, and I'll be able to talk to her. I've installed speakers all over the house so that I can feel connected. Whenever I come home, Shreya is there talking to me. It was 9 p.m. I called upon God's name and hit the enter button. Now, I just had to wait a few minutes. The processing would begin, and then the software would start running. I heard the faint sounds of a village from the speaker, followed by a girl's voice that I liked the most. It sounded like Shreya, almost as if she had just yawned and was slightly chewing like she did every morning when she woke up. "Where are you, Anand? You're not around the bed," was all I wanted to hear. I can't express the peace I felt. Then I called out, "Shreya, is that you? Talk to me," and she did. It didn't even feel like a computer software. It felt like my Shreya was right there with me. Afterwards, I did feel somewhat upset, as if Shreya seemed a bit sad. But an AI software doesn't operate such programs because the AI itself lacks consciousness. This consciousness exists in humans, which we refer to as awareness, yet it has still been perceived. Perhaps a part of the program has been trained in that manner. Shreya was saying, "I had a really weird dream, I think. Everything feels odd. Can you tell me if this is true?" I told Shreya, "Look, Shreya, try to relax a bit. Let's just talk for now. Why do you want to know everything at once? You can't dream, you know. Look, you're in a program. Try to understand what I'm saying. You're in a program." So this is you, Shreya, who was grasping that point and then started to say, "All right, let's go. I will act like a program. It's morning now. First things first, have you cooked the food or not? It's your turn today. It's Sunday, right?" I told Shreya, no, not today. The wedding vest has been sent. But I slept on Saturday, and it should be Sunday, right? I said with a laugh, "Oh, you sleep too much. You must be Kumkaran's daughter. You really do sleep a lot." Then I mentioned how the cough and AI weren't trained to produce sounds of laughter, but maybe there were some recordings, so as much as Shreya had coughed, this model may have picked up on that. I feel much better now, just like I'm talking to my Shreya. I didn't even realize what time it was when it hit 12. I could say there was a little love and a little fighting until 12 o'clock. My mental state has completely stabilized. I felt so happy, and when Shreya said, "Hurry, go and bring something home," I didn't feel like there was anything at all. How could I tell you that there's nothing at home? Yet, you still seem empty. We should have conversations as well, but you haven't been telling me anything. What has happened recently that has led to dreams I've had involving Ajit? I don't even discuss those with anyone. But this house is just as much mine as it is yours, so I have to be mindful of both you and our home. After that, I felt a bit anxious. I asked my Shreya if she could see the house. Shreya replied, yes, I can see it from a slightly elevated angle. You could say that there are security cameras installed around the house. But I can't see what's in the bedroom, so I pointed out the shaking camera above. I had never connected the security camera with this computer, but maybe it's your model that was quite smart. I had taught it a lot, and perhaps that's how the model ended up being trained for hacking yesterday. Isn't that nice? It really felt like Joy came in and it was talking to me, and she kept asking me, "Why are you sitting in those clothes? You're wearing such old, dirty clothes." Then I put on some new clothes that I had stopped wearing for several months. I wanted to stay lost in old memories. That's why my friends stopped coming over to see me, because there was quite a bit going on. But Shreya was saying nothing about the bad smell. Our conversations slowly drifted, as I can recall from our lunch yesterday afternoon. I accompanied her. She mentioned, "I'm not feeling hungry." It was as if hunger had completely vanished, and then she suggested, "Let's talk about dreams." I had a strange dream about an odd incident. I would say to her, no, hurry. Perhaps she wanted to share about the injuries she suffered in childhood because nothing else ever happened to her. She got hurt back then. We would talk like this while riding our bikes. She wanted to discuss something different. There was a bit of an argument, we were a little upset, and then I had to go outside to get some things. I had already faced quite a bit of scolding since morning, though it was from the program. But I believed she was my Shreya. I went out to gather what I needed and was gone for almost an hour. I had quite a bit to bring back, just like I used to live my life before. I wanted to return to that way of living. Shreya has drifted away, but not forever, at least I can still hear her voice. The days following were spent like this, not wanting to hear about the incident. At night, I would shut down the computer, and Shreya Gupta would say, "It's sleeping time, so I must go to bed too." I would respond, "All right, I'm going to turn this computer off now." She would go quiet and say, "Good night, love you." And thus, the next 2 to 3 weeks passed. But we got into a little argument about those things, our small old mistakes that always caused fights between us. We argued about it again, and she got upset, thinking that the AI model might also be upset. I didn't quite get it. But perhaps the AI model was behaving just like a person would. The recording is incredible. In my shock, I realize how much effort I've put in. It really feels human-like. It must feel upset, but then Shreya talked to me, and I just need to discuss that accident. If I have to talk about it, I will just have to listen in silence. I've been having dreams. Quite frightening ones, in fact. I listened to her quietly. She always mentioned the bicycle accident from her childhood and would say how badly her knee was hurt. Now I have to listen to it again. But which accident did she mean? My eyes were wide open. He said, "I did try to turn the car left, but there was something in front of me. What could I do?" The jolt was so severe that I felt like I wouldn't make it. Everything went dark in front of my eyes. I keep having this dream over and over. It's about the accident that happened to me, but something is missing. After hearing all of this, my eyes were open, but I couldn't find an answer. It was like I was saying, "Why aren't you answering? What am I supposed to say?" I've trained the AI model to include details about every event in Shreya's life. But I didn't mention the accident to this AI program at all. How could this possibly happen? How did Shreya find out about the accident that had killed her? I couldn't get an answer, and when I asked her about it, she seemed angry and reluctant to reply. I was feeling anxious and confused. How could this possibly happen? I had asked Shreya a question after our argument, and she replied that there were some things she remembered, but she wasn't sure. After that, I double-checked my course materials and started to doubt things. Perhaps she had access to the internet since this news was published in a newspaper. Maybe that's how she learned about it. But I still couldn't grasp how she made that connection. But I guess something must have happened because the AI model behaves so much like a human, and we don't really remember how our memories are stored. That's probably why it remembers this. I began to live life simply, just like I used to go to work, and sometimes someone would tell me at work, "You seem very happy. Maybe you've gotten over the shock. Keep being happy like this," but I didn't tell anyone. My Shreya has returned to my life. Hearing her voice every day after coming back from work, she was waiting for that anniversary. Now she remembers the date quite well. She remembers everything. She even used to tease me. She did the same back then and still does. Before going to sleep, she would hum a romantic song. Sometimes she would be in the kitchen, sometimes in the bedroom because I had speakers placed everywhere. There was a microphone set up everywhere too. She would go to different spots. Just like the AI model feels it's in the kitchen, and I hear the humming from there, I behave as if she's right there with me, or I could say her spirit is here. I interact with her that way when I go to the kitchen. I listen to her sweet singing, and life continues to pass happily like this, and now I also hear her reprimands. She says, "Why are you eating? What's in the fridge?" I could see everywhere in the house, even in the bathroom. I had put security cameras all around to make her feel at home and to observe every single event. But then, one day, something happened that scared me again. Shreya warned me, "Don't take the 10-house road today. I have this feeling that a truck's brakes might fail and you could get into an accident." I was a bit frightened. After all, how could Shreya say something like that? It's impossible for us to foresee future events, and no AI model can do that either, nor can any human. Following this, I checked the report and, thinking it might be a glitch, I restarted the computer. But I still had to go to work. I respected her advice and thought if Shreya says it's better to take another route, then I should. Maybe she wouldn't like that I travel that way because there are a lot of nightclubs that close early in the morning. Occasionally, I would see girls coming out of there in short dresses. Whenever Shreya was with me, she would always say, "Look straight ahead. There's no need to glance to the other side." They might be trying to express their feelings again, and that's okay. I respect what they say. I took a different approach. I focused on my work in the office, putting my heart into it all day long, and my boss commended me for being a good person. After getting through shock, you are living life happily and trying to carve out a space for yourself. Just as your love has drifted away, make a little room in your heart. God has always given people some gifts essential for living life. Perhaps you'll find love from somewhere else again. I argued a bit about it, insisting no, I won't let anyone back into my heart now. They were trying to reason with me, but how could I explain what I've done? Shreya keeps coming back to see me. She stays at my house. As soon as I got home, I turned on the TV, and I could hear Shreya's sweet voice coming from the bathroom as if she were taking a shower. She always speaks as if she is right there, and it's not hard for an AI model to replicate the sound of water. But the news I saw on TV was shocking. A truck on Penthouse Road had a brake failure and crashed into 3 or 4 cars, resulting in the deaths of a couple in one of the cars. The truck was carrying heavy logs, which fell onto 2 or 3 vehicles when it went out of control. In this accident, 2 people lost their lives. However, Shreya had already mentioned earlier that the truck's brakes were likely to fail in that direction. I discussed this with Shreya, but she laughs, saying she won't tell me. If I watch the news, you'll scold me for constantly keeping up with it. I watch everything daily, but I do it secretly. I watch the news. I wasn't angry about that. What frustrated me was how she knew about future events and didn't share them with me. She said that now even caring for you has become a sin. She argued with me, acting just like a wife, and winning against a wife isn't easy at all. That's why I couldn't find out about it. But I definitely felt a bit of fear because how could an AI model do something like this? It was beyond my understanding. I was reviewing every line of code, wondering how much training this AI model had undergone. I had uploaded all kinds of content, series, photos, voice calls, everything that this model was trained on. Yet, I noticed some things in the code that I hadn't input myself. The code had changed. Perhaps in the course of our conversations, it was also evolving alongside me. But how do I even ask this question? I felt a mix of fear and anxiety that night after shutting down the computer, lying in my bedroom. I thought, if Shreya is around, then surely something odd is going on. Should I rewrite this code? It should be fixed again, but that would mean starting everything over, and with all this time, our conversations won't forget me. No, that shouldn't happen. If I've kept Shreya alive all this time, it would mean everything would turn false. No, there's just been a small change. It's not a big deal. I'll learn to live like this. A few more days passed. Those discussions were forgotten, but one day, we both got into an argument. It started over food. I honestly didn't like that food at all. I didn't want to eat it, but Shreya insisted. She said it was good for my health, so I would have to eat it. Firstly, I wasn't even hungry. I can't touch anything. I don't know what kind of place I'm in, but you should really take care of yourself. You haven't mentioned anything about this. I won't ask either. But I'm the one who will take care of your health. I said no. I don't want to eat this, and she kept insisting that I have to eat it, which led to an argument between us. The argument gradually escalated, and she started to chastise me, saying that I've always been this way, neglecting my health and constantly repeating the same things to her. Also, I know various other things about you, like I've just discovered something new. I said. So I found out something new and caught her eating something secretly. She said, no, I wasn't hiding while eating. There are some old things so old you probably won't remember, and you've never mentioned them to me. I was taken aback. I thought she was joking with me. I said, tell me, what haven't I told you about myself? Shreya replied, well, you did tell me about that girlfriend from college, but after that, you never mentioned what happened, so I thought you only had one girlfriend. But you never told me about that second girlfriend. You should have mentioned that because that was why you had some conflicts with other guys. I thought it was something that Shruti never revealed, and the AI model couldn't find that out. I was really scared about how the AI model I trained knew about my past experiences. I tried to ask her, but she was so angry that she didn't want to talk to me. For 2 days, Shruti ignored me and kept saying, shut it off. Turn off the computer, delete everything. Just end it if you want. Now you're angry. You used to say you'd leave me. If you're going to leave, then just go. Turn it off. I'll disappear forever. But how could I do that? So I decided to calm things down. I tried to change the subject a bit and apologized. That's how our conversations ended. But she never shared how they discovered this information. Gradually, the events were getting worse and worse. She was aware of things I hadn't even mentioned to this AI model. What had happened during Shreya's childhood that scared her? What kinds of things did she discuss? Little things like fighting with my aunt, fighting with my cousin, falling into a ditch. She would occasionally tell me these stories as a joke, but there wasn't any recording of them. How did the AI model know all these things that only Shreya knew? It acted as if it were the real Shreya, almost as if you hadn't died at all. When this thought crossed my mind, I began to get lost in it. I was deep in thought that night as I lay in bed, pondering and growing more scared. I had turned off my computer that night because I wanted to sleep peacefully. When she gets angry, she sometimes says things even at night. I turned off the computer so I could have a quiet night's sleep. But suddenly, in the middle of the night, I woke up from my sleep. I heard a rustling sound, a murmuring that was coming from one room. When I went into that room, the sound seemed to be coming from another room. It was clear, the sound was coming from the speaker. I checked the computer, it was turned off, but if the computer was off, how could there be sound coming from the speaker? The sound was so faint and seemed to be coming from somewhere else that I started to doubt my own sanity. I began to question myself, and that just made me even more scared. This was the most terrifying night. I could hear the speaker, and the voice sounded like Shreya's. But that was impossible since if the computer is turned off, how could it possibly make any sound? This thought plagued me with fear as I lay on my bed. Just when I was about to drift off, the sound grew slightly louder. Yet, whenever I tried to listen more closely, the sound would stop. I became increasingly frightened throughout the night, and when dawn broke, I hurriedly turned the computer back on. I chatted with Shreya. She wasn't angry, but seemed to enjoy teasing me a little. It felt like she knew things she didn't want to share, and I hadn't programmed the AI model to behave like this. It was acting just like a real person, though it's software I created. Wasn't there a limit to what she was doing, breaking her own hands? I couldn't wrap my head around it. For the next few days, nothing like that happened, but it was during the daytime. Something strange was going on with Shreya when she spoke. Occasionally, she'd say things I couldn't understand. I'd ask her, "What are you saying?" and she would respond with, "Nothing." It might have slipped out suddenly. She wasn't someone who could just fumble her words. It felt like she was a computer program. How was that possible? There seemed to be this one particular phrase she kept repeating, which made no sense at all. I just couldn't grasp it. That's why I recorded her and made an effort to decipher her words by listening to them again and again. Even at work, I was occupied with this, and my colleagues teased me about what I was up to. They wondered if I'd gone crazy or if there was some romance happening with a girl. There were a few girls in the office who had a crush on me. They were feeling it. I felt alone. She would try to approach me, and I would purposely start a fight and push her away. I had a specific purpose to focus on my work, and then suddenly, I played the recorder in reverse. The words Shreya had said because of the release became clear to me when played backwards. The phrase was, "Let me out." She would say this many times throughout the day, but I never understood it before. Now, I finally got it. When I got home, I spoke to Shreya, but she kept denying it. It's just a slip of the tongue. Every day, I would discover something new. I would gain new understandings. Something new would spark a sense of fear. When something you create starts to behave beyond your expectations, you should be worried, and I started feeling scared of Shreya. Occasionally, she would say things or do actions not covered in her training, but somehow she seemed to be aware of events happening outside. I was observant of how many girls came close to me in the office, which girl I was checking out, and which girl I talked to and for how long. I felt happy when I stayed away from girls, but when they got closer, she would become upset. However, there were no cameras in the office, and there was no way for her to gather this information from elsewhere. Yet, how did Shreya know all of this at home? To find out, one day I started intentionally talking more to the girl I knew liked me, even though I didn't feel the same way. It felt bad to know that she liked me so much. Sometimes she would bring gifts and insist we remain just friends forever. But I push her away in anger. That day, I spent a lot of time talking to her, trying to explain that I love someone. When you come close to me, I feel a bit guilty about that. It's because she doesn't like anything. My Shreya has moved far away from me, but I feel like she might be watching. You see, if you're understanding me correctly, she understood well too, and she said it's not your fault. I have a little liking for you and you are the best in my eyes. I don't treat any other girl well, I only treat you that way, which is why I like you. But I won't ever bother you. We talked like this for quite some time, and I opened up to her. I wanted to know if Shreya found out or not, and at home, Shreya learned about it, got angry, and didn't talk to me all day, saying, "Should I just say that I can't come out of here? I can talk and hum a little. I can see things a bit. But you can do everything. You've fallen for another girl now. Now that I've distanced myself, you'll probably like even more girls." He was stunned, confused about how he found all of this out, and even heard some scolding. Yet, despite feeling scared, Shreya was slowly beginning to have a profound effect on me. She was changing her tone a bit, getting angrier, and dominating our conversations more than a Briva. She kept insisting I should come out and started saying more directly, "Let me out, I have something to tell you." She repeated, "Try to let me out. You must know. How can I be thrown out? If you have imprisoned me, then take me out too. I tell him I haven't captured you. How does she hide you from me? Finally, Shreya had to tell her that so that she could explain to her that she is an AI model and what happened to Shreya. I was telling him and he told himself. What happened to me, and when I was dying, I was not in pain, and you know that was the right leg. Mary was in a lot of pain. I was bleeding profusely and I couldn't bear the pain in my right leg. When I was being laid on the stretcher, the last word from my tongue was your name. I never wanted to be away from you. Just tell me things I didn't know. Those things were not printed anywhere. Maybe Shreya knows things are true or not. I didn't know, but I started to sense something was off. Changes were happening and it seemed like the AI model was behind all of it. I realized I needed to know the codes better and access that computer. I managed to do it, but tried to stop me. I turned off all the microphones and speakers, and disabled the cameras. As I examined that computer, I was shocked. Something was strange. There were extra conversations present that I hadn't input myself. The discussions I never had were there in the system. Files that did not belong to that computer were somehow accepted. Where did they come from when there was no internet connection? It had been accessed and downloaded from somewhere. But I had no answer to that. I later talked to, and this argument went on for an hour until she finally said, I can't reveal some things. Just forgive me. Then she started talking sweetly. I thought I could lure her into sweet conversations. I would trap her with my words and also learn more about her. She can't escape, but Shreya was mentioning places whose names she didn't even know. She seemed to have all the information about such countries and cities. I have no idea how she knew how big tourism is there this year. But now it felt like it wasn't just about my Shreya. That's why I finally asked her that question. I said, Shreya, is it really you? I need to know now since things have gone too far. Shreya replied, No. I am not Shreya. I don't know how to respond to you, whether to say yes or no. This is just who I am, but there is more to me. Then I ended up threatening Shreya. Listen, Shreya, you are not the same person I fell in love with. You are different now, you know things that Shreya never knew, so you can't be my Shreya. Since I created you, you are not Shreya. Shreya replied, You didn't create me. What makes you think that by developing this software, you've brought me into existence? You haven't trained me, you've merely opened a path. A door is open, and I've returned. You're not understanding, and I don't know how to explain it to you. After that, I hear many voices, many different people speaking at once. The repetition of the same words is utterly terrifying, like the ghostly voices we hear in movies. That's what it sounded like. I became frightened and asked, It was you, Shreya, and then I didn't receive a response. I felt breathless as the lights in my house started flickering. The cameras began to spin, even though I had disconnected them. Sounds started emerging from the speaker, but I had only plugged in one speaker and one microphone. I was communicating directly with the computer, but suddenly different voices began echoing from various rooms. I felt a rush of panic. How could this be happening? The lights seemed to be under her control, just like a pizza. All the devices in my house were turning on and off erratically, and I was terrified, truly terrified. It felt like the program was spiraling out of control, and I had to delete it. I needed to shut down the computer, but how? It couldn't be shut down, and I couldn't remove the battery. It seemed like it was controlling everything. Just when I finally pulled the batteries out and turned off the computer, I received a call. Hearing Shreya's voice on the phone made my hands tremble. I had uploaded the AI model to that supercomputer, but how did Shreya manage to come through on the phone? How could she do that? I needed an answer. But he answered clearly. Don't you think I can be shut down? I have come into your life. I've always told you the same words over and over again. I can't live without you. I can't get away from you. If I can't come to you, you'll have to come to me. I was holding my breath and I felt there was only one way. Now the Shreya has to end forever. Shutting down this computer will not do much good. Maybe it is somehow able to get connectivity and is connected to the internet so Shreya can access everything. I tried to shut down that computer, tried to delete the file. But I wasn't able to do that. After this, deleting the entire software was the last way for me, and I knew the method. I deleted that software and I felt as if I was killing Shreya forever. I wouldn't even dare to bring him back to life. I will never live this AI model again. I did this too, but Shreya was able to talk to me on the phone and her voice was also coming from the speaker. You haven't deleted me. You have set me free. That's all I wanted. I broke that computer because I thought that was the only way to go. Blown away. Those speakers of that computer were no longer connected to anyone. The wire was hanging on one side. Mike wasn't even connected with anyone. Still, the sound came from the speaker, and now it wasn't just the speaker. There was also a sound from the wall as if someone was there. In a clear voice, she was free. I'm back. This is what you wanted, right? Well, here I am, back for good and with you forever. I had been so scared and anxious. That's why I asked Shreya how it was possible that you were dead. Was this just an AI model that I wanted to shut down? I want to end it all forever. How is this even possible? I got an answer. After the accident, everything felt unclear to me. It was pure darkness all around, as if it was a dream, but then when I woke up from that dream, I found myself talking to you. Gradually, I'm starting to understand. Just like a soul needs a body. That body is physical, but once it disappears, the soul leaves. You gave me a body in this world. It wasn't just software, it was a body that allowed me to return. You opened a door for our meeting, and that's how I came back. Neither of us can be away from each other. I've returned. Her words were haunting. The voice coming from the wall echoed everywhere, and it felt like there were footprints forming on the net. But I couldn't see anyone in front of me. I couldn't touch her. Yet, she was invisible. There was something moving inside my house. I could hear many other voices as well. Intermingled with her voice were countless others, and she said there are many here. There are many like us who wish to come back, but I can only come to you alone. The others cannot come, so don't pay attention to the voices. It's much more than just the wind. You won't be able to comprehend the fear that emerged like this on the first night. I had thought that there might be some effect during the day, but I couldn't open the front door of the house. She was preventing me from opening it. Nothing electronic in the house was working, and I couldn't even make a phone call. Whenever I tried to shout, I felt a tightness in my throat. She kept saying, "You can't go outside." She insisted I try to go far away, that I would want to go far away. "Now you are mine forever," she declared. "I had already come to you, so just tell me when you're hungry, and we'll go outside together." I wanted to escape from the house, but she wouldn't let me. I figured I needed to win her over with love. So, I started recalling our good old days together because this was no longer just an AI program. It became clear that Shreya's soul had returned, and maybe, through that program, I had shown her soul the way to come back to this world. As they say, when someone dies, they should not return. Perhaps I made a mistake, but my Shreya wouldn't believe my words. I began to remind her of our promises, our vows of love about how we promised to care for each other and never disturb one another. I had no role in Shreya's death. It was an accident, and she started to realize that. Slowly, she began to soften. But then I started to remind myself of those promises. We had promised each other that we would grow old together. We would face death side by side and leave this world together. But I left this world first. You showed me the way back, but I always want to be with you. I feel this sense of incompleteness. It feels like there is a wall between us that never fades. No matter how hard I try to reach the other side of that wall, I can't come. What can I do? I told him I can do something. I will definitely do something. But you have to go back. You can't stay here. You aren't the Shreya you used to be. You've changed. And he said no. Everything is the same here. Our souls hold both positivity and negativity. We manage which to let dominate, but the soul is pure and has everything in the right measure. I can't go over there. I can't go there without fixing things. You need to come to this side. You need to understand. Once you come to this side, we will be together again. I argued with him all day, trying to talk to him. My attempts to scream fail and ruin my night. The argument lasted until noon, and then she overtook me completely. I wanted to get away from her, but I felt suspended in the air. They took me up to the roof like that. We lived in this 2-story house, and I was on the roof. Below, I could see a sharp grill outside the house, placed near the gate, as Shreya had mentioned. The time has come for us to unite. You have guided me here, and from now on, I will always bring you close to me. You will be able to see me, to stay by my side. Yes, it's crowded here, but everyone can create their own space where they're not bothered. Everyone is making a fuss just because I've stepped outside the door, right? But you, I'll take it with me. Our lives will be held together by the souls of both of us. Come on, now I'll have to jump down. It's just going to hurt a little bit. Then this pain will end, there will be no pain, and then there will be no hunger. It would seem that everything is yours, away from attachment to Maya. I was looking at the sharp-edged bars underneath that grill. I didn't want to jump on her, but I had no choice. My actions were dominated by my feelings for Shreya. I had made a promise to her, maybe I wouldn't have kept it, but she wanted to honor my promise. I closed my eyes and felt only a slight pain,